I should look at the comments my Devil's Third video got. See how people liked it. What? Are you serious? Ugh. Okay, where is it? Ah, there it is. Looks like I'm doing this now. In mid-2008, the Wii had been out for about 18 months. By now, people were tired of Wii Sports, they'd already beaten Twilight Princess and Mario Galaxy, and Nintendo themselves had just had an absolute abysmal presentation at E3. And once again, the complaints were returning. A lack of mature games, particularly from third parties. So people got hyped when Platinum Games announced their first game would be a Wii U exclusive, and it was going to be mature. And I mean mature. Now, for 21-year-old me, this got me pumped. In fact, I was beyond excited for this game. This was one of the first games I ever actually pre-ordered. I have the game's bitching soundtrack to prove it. We'll get to that later. So, let's check out Madworld. Our story opens on the island Varigan City, who has its transport and communication lines severed by a terrorist organization who create their own version of Battle Royale and broadcast it to the world like it's a televised sport. We're then introduced to our chainsaw for an arm wielding protagonist.
Who the fuck are you? Jack. Just Jack.
Okay, first off, the art style. As you can clearly see, the game is designed like Frank Miller with its high contrast black and white with a good serving of red all over. This was probably done to make the violence more stylized, as having the game in normal colors would just make it Gears of War. The purpose of each level is to earn enough points. You earn points by way of killing all the random thugs. Sure, you could just use your chainsaw, but where's the fun in that? The game recommends you grab any number of items, be it tires, drums, or street signs, and go to town. The first tutorial has you shoving a tire on someone, sticking a pole in their head, and throwing them into a giant wall of spikes. Which brings me to my first major issue of this game: how repetitive it can be. Sure, each level has new ways to kill, like rollerblades, electrical boxes, and spinning fans of death, but in the end, you're just doing the same 1-2 throw. All that really changes is the setting and the rise in points needed to get to the level bosses. The bosses aren't broken or anything, but the real issue lies with the controls. Believe me, it's great to use the Wiimote to slice and dice, but when a boss battle requires finite quick-time controls that will only register half the time, battles become an endurance of frustration. You have a lock-on that only works half the time, and dodging is achieved by shaking the nunchuck. For a game like this, you need immediate response. This is why no one uses Bayonetta 2's touch controls. A classic controller option would have been greatly preferred. They do try to mix things up with bloodbath challenges like human darts or throwing people into a turbine or crusher, presented by the Black Baron, which always ends with his hoe throwing him into it. Because that's what you do, obviously.
Oh, hell no!
That being said, some of the finishing death animations are almost viscerally extravagant in their presentation, about as visceral as my wrists were after I was done with this game. But this was 2008, and people were still oohing and ahhing about the Wii controls. I mean, there are some high points in the game, like riding a motorbike Mad Max style, and just destroying thugs while the music and commentary fill your eardrums.
You know what I don't get? I don't get why they call him Little Eddie when he's so fucking big.
I think it's supposed to be ironic.
What?
The commentary is probably the best part about this game, featuring the voice work of John DiMaggio and Greg Proops. It's almost like they were just thrown to a recording studio and told to go nuts. And what we got was some real hilarious work.
Those pills are great when you wash them down with a little scotch.
I like to wash down my scotch with a little scotch.
I like to wash down the scotch that I poured that scotch with a little more scotch.
I like scotch.
I like scotch.
Even funnier if you imagine it's Jake the dog saying all John's lines.
Are you a city engineer?
Well, I'm not a city.
Well, then shut the fuck up. They don't come up here and tell you how to be a commentator. I can tell you from experience that those happy pills work even better if you grind them up and inject them into the folds of your scrotum.
And lastly, there's the music. This soundtrack of 20 tracks consists of only 6 different artists. The in-house composer wanted to avoid Japanese-style music and create a more American feel.
Big chick with my 9 strapped to my head. So what you talking about? You love to run your mouth. Female boss on your noose and then run around.
I just might catch you slipping. Getting paid is my intuition and my ambition. It's the brother city of the siege. More death, more cheese. Gotta get the paper, meet Jamaica. And these boss on the Undertaker. And ain't no shortage, I can't be laid off. In fact, rest in chaos.
Body that, we gon' body that. Body that, we gon' body that. Yeah, body that, we gon' body that. Yeah, body that, we gon' body that. Body that, we gon' body that. Body that, we gon' body that. Yeah, body that, we gon' body that. Yeah, body that, we gon' body that.
But the only albums they had as examples of American music were early Linkin Park albums. Now, this is a guy who loved early Linkin Park, before, like a lot of things, Michael Bay ruined it. I listened to this soundtrack again as I was working on this review, and it's still head-banging awesome as ever. Platinum Games music has always been pretty awesome, but I just wish the game was as awesome. The biggest problem of this game was the repetitiveness and the controls. After the first few levels, you really have to try and come up with new death traps to throw people in. And the Wii mode just wasn't designed for this type of decision. No More Heroes got it right, giving gamers enough leeway with the motion control response. However, Madworld is in no way a bad game. I've actually praised this game on numerous occasions for its attempt to stand out, but compared to other third-party titles on the system, it just doesn't hold up. Madworld and House of the Dead Overkill was Sega's attempt to bring hardcore titles to the Wii, and sales just weren't to their liking. So they gave us Sonic as punishment. Bastards. In fact, Jack would return in a sort of sequel, Anarchy Reigns on the PS360. But I wouldn't be against giving Madworld another chance on the Wii U, with a real sequel. Just as long as we get Greg and John back. So, everyone, thanks for watching, and now I'll wait and see what people bitch about in the comments this week. I'll see you next time.